Hi, everyone. We're here today to talk about Google Optimize and how it can be used for different kind of businesses. First of all, let me introduce us. My name is Maria. I'm business analyst at OWOX, and here is my colleague Pavel. He's head of analytics department at OWOX.
Hello, everybody.
I want to remind several important things. That first, feel free to ask any questions if you have them in chat on your right. And also, if you have any need to have the presentation in Russian, I've seen that there are several people who registered from Russian companies. There is a Russian version of the webinar already available that you can just go and get access to on our website. And the last but not the least, don't worry, we'll send the presentation after the webinar, so you'll have access to all the slides. Let's get started. I'll share the screen so you can see the slides. Okay, so once again, today we'll talk about using Google Optimize for testing and personalization. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with our company, so here is a brief introduction. We implement Google Analytics for e-commerce, mainly businesses, but also have experience working with travel projects, telecom. So yes, if you have questions about analytics, you can always reach out. We develop online services based on Google BigQuery that help customers increase customer lifetime value and decrease customer acquisition cost. We are not an agency and we don't sell ads, so we're just trying to help our customers, get and make sense out of their data. And here are some of our clients. I'm sure you can recognize some of them. Let's get to the agenda. Today we'll talk about what rules the world. Is it experience or testing? We'll show you main features of Optimize and how to set it up. Pavel will run a live demo for you. We'll compare free and paid versions, show the case study where we've implemented cases with Optimize for our website, and we'll share what was, the outcome of our experience. What do we find useful and not so useful in Optimize? So let's get started. If you want, you can answer this question in comments, but how many of you actually run or who runs experiments on the website and not only belongs on the inner filling? Most of companies, most of the departments, they think that using the benchmarking, they can implement some changes. But honestly, it's not always easy to understand customers because they use different devices. They can come from desktop, they can come from mobile, they can come from tablets. If you have offline, they can also reach out to you there. And you cannot always understand their path, and you cannot always provide them with single experience. And let's be honest, it's not always even possible to understand them. Sometimes it looks like we understand what they mean or what will be better for them, but it doesn't work the way we expected. So for instance, we've added a new block on the website that we thought will increase the conversion rate, or we thought will gain a lot of interactions, but it didn't happen because it was in the wrong color or maybe in the wrong position. So people just didn't pay enough attention to it. And even though, or even if you are profound enough and you use web analytics services that help you collect data and combine data and segment users based on that data, it doesn't mean that you use that data for personalization. It means that a lot of businesses who collects and spends tons of money for collecting data don't use it in the way they should. So, for instance, you know the preferences of your customers, but do you provide them with the best experience for that particular customer? And even if you have that data, why won't you use it for the experiments? The answer can be pretty simple. You just don't have enough resources. It might be difficult to implement certain tasks or find developers' time or find designers' time to, you know, draw another picture that you want to test. Um, and you know, even though you might have like the best intentions, you might go wrong with taking intuitive decisions. Here is the example and the slide that I saw at another presentation of Michael Agard. He was showing that for one of his clients, they were testing order form at the website, and in the beginning there was just one field and the conversion rate was pretty high. But if you're working in e-commerce, you most likely need more data for the taking the order. So you'll need like the address, the payment information, shipping info, and all of that. And you have to increase the number of fields. And it decreases the conversion rate. But for the client, they were testing that form. It turned out that 10 fields in the form actually performed better than 4. There can be a variety of reasons for that. For instance, you know, you looked more reliable in customers' eyes because you were asking, you know, really necessary data. Or the customer just decided, you know, to take the challenge and finish the form. This will work not only, you know, not for all businesses, but it's definitely something that you need to test, even though if it, you know, looks obvious and simple for you. So let's get back to Google Optimize and how you can use it. First of all, a brief introduction. Optimize 360 is a part of Google Analytics 360 suite, and it has connection with other products in that tool that, you know, gives you a lot of options. So the main advantages of this tool is first data consistency. It has integration with Google Analytics, so you can use metrics and parameters from Google Analytics to measure the success of the experiment, and you don't need, you know, to set up any other metrics. Second, if you're using the paid version of Optimize, you can use audiences from Google Analytics that you've already created and you've already set up. And the third thing is Optimize has integration with BigQuery, Google Analytics, AdWords, and AdSense. So, you know, it's way easier to do reporting, targeting, and using the results. How it works, what should you start with? What should be your, you know, first step? First, you need to understand what KPIs do you want to improve. And second, come up with hypotheses that you think can help you improve those KPIs. Once you have the ideas, what can help, you should create different variations or something that shows those hypotheses. It can be either a new button or a new banner or a new text, whatever. Once you've created it, you have to select goals that you want to use for measuring. In the free version, there are up to 5 goals. They're all preset, and in the paid version, you can use as many goals as you want and add them over time during the experiment. So once you've selected the goals, you need to create target audience for your experiment. And once you have that, you're pretty much all set. You run the experiment and analyze the results. Important thing that you can analyze the results during the test while the test is still running, so you can see the basic numbers. And once you determine the winner, you can deploy the variant again using Optimize. And if we've started talking about the tests, let's let's dive deeper into the test types and see what can be used. So first is like very simple, basic ABN testing when you need to compare two or more versions of a web page. So basically, you can have one button that you think can work better in certain color or with certain call to action, and you just compare several versions and determine the best one. And you don't need developer for setting up that test. The second type is multivariate testing. You also don't need the developer there, but it works in a bit different way. You use it if you want to test multiple combinations of elements. So for instance, you can have several parameters that change: the layout, the color, and the call to action. And you want to check what combination works better. That's where multivariate testing comes in place. And one more type of the test, it's a redirect test. For this one, you will need to involve a developer because you'll have to create a new page from the scratch. You will use that if you want to run redesign testing or adaptive version testing. So if you want to compare it with like completely different page. If we're talking about ABN testing and multivariate testing, it can be done through the visual editor that you set up as an add-on. It allows you to decrease the setup time because you can basically just, drag and drop different parts of or different elements. It has very intuitive, simple interface. You can use and edit texts, images, styles, layout without involving HTML or JavaScript skilled people. And now let's switch and let's move to personalization. If you want to set up personalization, what you have to do is first to use audiences you already created in Google Analytics. And you can activate them based on any action or basically based on any event. So that's what you will use for personalization. And to analyze it, you will use again the metrics from GA. How to determine a winner. So we ran the experiment and how do we see the results? They're all available in the reports. My colleague Pavel will show it to you later. Important thing to notice is that for determining the results, Bayesian statistical analytics is used, and you can see the results while the test is still in progress. So Google Optimize recommends to stop the experiment if you run it for 2 weeks or longer, or if one of the variants has the chance or the win probability of 95% or higher. And using the reports, you can determine the winner even faster. Or if you see that one of the variants performs even better, you can change the number or the share of sessions that goes to that particular variant. How to set up Google Optimize? Let's get closer to practice. Let's get our hands on. What you have to do first is to create Google Optimize account. Usually it's one account per company, and you can create several Google Optimize accounts with one Google account. Once you've created the Google Optimize account, you need to create a container in that account. The container is usually connected to the web property and to the particular domain. But if you have your checkout or cart spread between different domains, you might want to use one container for all of them. If you don't want the results of your experiments to interfere, you should better use different containers for different domains and subdomains. Once you've created the container, you should install Optimize add-on for Chrome, so that way you have Visual Editor enabled. And also there is a share functionality, and if you want to have your colleagues, people you share the Optimize with, to have the same functionality, they also should have this add-on. Please note that for this add-on to work properly, you should have the Chrome version 45 or higher. So we've set up the account, we've created a container, we've installed the add-on. Now there are two different options. If you're using the Google Tag Manager, what you do, you go to Google Tag Manager and you create new tag. You specify the type, Google Optimize. You specify your GA tracking ID and optimized container ID. Once you've done that, you specify the firing rules here. That's pretty simple, right? Please note that recently Google Tag Manager had released new rules of using, or actually of placing, the Google Tag Manager tracking code. The first part of the code should be as close as possible to the head tag opening. And the second part should be right after the body tag opening, as close to it as possible. And if you remember, before everything had to be after body tag, so now it has been split into two different parts. And since you've changed that, you'll also have to declare the data variable before GTM container. And if you're old schooled and you don't use Google Tag Manager, you're still using on-site tracking, you should add just one row here where you require to the analytics tracking code, and you'll be all set. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you have many elements on the website and some of them might load earlier because of using Optimize, and you don't want your page, to jump or to change colors before it loads, what you can do, you can implement page hiding. It's optional. What it does, it hides everything before the page is completely loaded, so your customers will see the completely blank white page. But there is nothing to be scared about, because Optimize doesn't really increase the page load time. And now let's give the floor to Pavel so he can show you a demo.
Thank you, Maria. I'll give overview of Google Optimize interface. Let's start from the home page of Google Optimize. On this page, you can manage your Google Optimize account and containers. You can create a new account and remove existing. Also, you can see the list of containers that were created by your own or shared with you by your colleagues. You can create a new container or remove existing. To share your Optimize account or container, you need to click the Edit Permission button. There are all users that have access to one of your containers. Click Invite users to add your colleagues to Optimize. Enter their email address in this field, like and select the role of this user on the account level and container level. This is the same process like in Google Tag Manager. The admin can create new containers and manage your users. With read on the red level permission, you can view container and experiments. With the edit, you can edit experiments and containers, but you cannot run experiments. And with the publish, you can start experiments. Let's go to the Google Optimize container. Inside the container, you can see short overview of all your experiments. You can see status, type, creation date, and so on. You can remove, copy, or create new experiments. It's really simple. On the right side, You can see area with container details like account ID, container ID. Also, you can get Google optimized snippet that you need to add to your website. Or you can check linking with your Google Analytics web property. Let's create new experiment. It will be A/B test. So enter the name of experiment, like webinar demo. Enter an editor page URL. In our case, it is home page. It is a web page that you would like to test, and select the type of experiment. It will be A/B test, and click Create button. First of all, you should link new experiment with your Google Analytics view. It gives you opportunity to use goals from Google Analytics as objectives and gets experiment reports in selected Google Analytics view. So choose master view. Done. In A/B test, you can create new variants of web page quickly with Visual Editor without extra coding. So create new variant. It will be variant 1. Save settings and open Visual Editor. As said Maria before, to use Visual Editor, you need to add to your Chrome browser Google Optimize extension. There are two main sections. It is the up bar appears in the header, and it is editor palette that appears in the lower right. The up bar consists of the following components. It is experiment name, experiment status. The next, it is variant picker. It is a drop-down list with current variants. Also, you can use this drop-down menu to switch between variants, create new variant, or rename current variant. Preview mode allows you to access dynamic preview mode allows you to check any changes at different type of devices like iPad, iPhone 6, and so on. The change list displays all of changes that have been made in the editor for this variant. You can use it to undo any changes really fast. The next control, this is interactive mode. This mode allows you to access dynamic parts of websites such as forms, drop-down menus, slideshows, and so on. You can enable interactive mode, expose the element you wish to edit, then switch back to the editing mode to make changes with this element. So you can do some changes with this form. For example, change typography of the button. Then you can close this form and return to the editor. In the left corner, you can see hierarchy bar that displays the place of current selection on the page structure. So you can change the different location of different element on in the page structure. The editor palette contains all editable elements of the current selection. For example, when a text element is selected, the editable options include such dimensions like location, typography, and so on. you can use it to make any changes with any elements without extra coding and so on. Let's test some changes with subscription block. Imagine that we would like to test another version of text with the description of subscription advantages. So select the text and click Edit Text. For example, subscribe and get 10% discount. It's really simple. Done. In the same time, Visual Editor allows you to change HTML or CSS. Or you can run custom JavaScript. Also, it is really to change the size of or the color of the button. For example, you can do it bigger or smaller. If you would like to test another color of your button, you can do it with editor palette. You can change the color of background. For example, you can do this button red, yellow, or what you like. Do you think that moving this object close to header can increase the number of subscriptions? It is not a problem, you can test it, just move it close to the header. And check the results. Something wrong.
Moved it like too close to the top, probably. Let's try once again.
Yes.
The red button looks pretty dramatic on the black background, right?
Yes.
There we go.
Now it looks really better. So, if the variant is ready, do not forget to check all changes using different type of devices. You have this control to do it. Save variant, and you can share it with your colleagues. It's really simple. Just click preview and share preview with this link. So the next step is configuration of your primary and secondary objectives. It is one of the most important steps because the objectives are the criteria of the ending of the experiment. You can use one of predefined objectives like revenue, transaction, bounce rate, session duration, and so on. Or if you are lucky and you have optimized 360, you can use your Google Analytics goals, like here. Also, you can describe your experiment and expected result in this area. It's optional. At the last step, we should define targeting rules. The first section of the targeting tab is used to specify the percentage of your visitors to include in your experiment. If you want a quicker result, you might want to include a higher proportion of your visitors in the experiment. However, if you experiment risky and you might want to include only a small proportion of your visitors, you can do it really simple. All variants are weighted equally by default in Optimize, but if you want more or less traffic to go to a specific variant, you can use this control. For example, you can enter 30% and 70 of the variant 1. The when section of the targeting tab determines where the experiment is shown. You must create either a URL or pass targeting rule to start your experiment. So, in case when you would like to test a group of pages, for example, you would like to test all product pages, you can use regex condition and type the value like catalog something like that. Also, you can use other predefined rule conditions like in behavioral session variables time since first aerial, page referral, geo variables, city, metro, region, country, technology like browser, device category, operating system, and so on. Also, you can use the value of JavaScript variable, first-party cookie, custom JavaScript code, query parameter, or data layer variables. If you use Optimize 360, you can use for targeting audiences from Google Analytics. To share audiences with Optimize account, you should open Google Analytics account, switch to the web property settings, open audiences settings, create new audience, and select Google Optimize. It is the same process like sharing segments or audiences from Google Analytics with AdWords. So you can create new segment or use existing. So that's all. You can run your experiment. Creation of multivariate test looks like A/B test, but firstly, you should create section and after that variants for each section. For example, you need to test subscription button and you have 3 variants of button title, 2 variants of button color, and 3 variants of button location. In this case, you should create 3 sections with each variant for each section. And after that, Optimize will help you to create all possible combinations. So what is about reporting? The first card in reporting in Google Optimize displays the experiment status, the leader and the improvement if experiment is running. The bottom area of this card displays the number of experiment sessions over time and how long experiment has been running. The second card compares the performance of the original to your variant with their % improvement against your objectives. For example, you can see that the improvement that variant additional button had against the original in goal 6, 33%. The third card displays the performance of your variants against an objective picked from the drop-down menu in the upper left. For example, choose goal number 6. You can see such metrics like improvement, conversion rate, conversions, experiment session probability to beat baseline. It is the probability that a given variant will result in conversion rate better than the original conversion rate. In this case, and the probability to be best in along with all variants. In this case, probability to beat baseline equals probability to be best because we use only one variant. As said Maria before, also you can see some reports in Google Analytics. So switch to Google Analytics account. In behavioral section, experiments reports. As you can notice, optimized reports in Analytics have the same structure like Google Analytics content experiment reports. So now I'll give word back to Maria and we get back to the presentation.
Hi once again. I hope you found the more useful and have some ideas on how you can try that on your website. And let's get back to discussing the Optimize as a tool. And for now, we'll compare free and paid version. So I'll tell you only about the differences. You'll get the slide deck after that, so you can learn it closer. If we're talking about multivariate testing, there is a limited number of combinations available in the free version versus a limited number in GA3 or actually in Google Optimize 360. You cannot use segments for audience targeting from Google Analytics in the free version of Optimize, and you can in the paid version. The number of active experiments and goals in the experiments is limited to 3 in the free version of Optimize, comparing to the 360 version where the number is unlimited and you can also add goals as you go during the experiment. As for the support, for the free version, there are only available references, forum, and community. And with the paid version, you get enterprise level support and service level agreement as for all Google Analytics 360 products. The price for the paid version, I'm sure that many of you are interested in it, depends on the number of hits in the web property. And to sum it up, the free version of Optimize will be a good fit for small projects with limited number of hypotheses that don't run experiments like, daily, versus the big projects that constantly work inside of improvements and run experiments simultaneously all the time. That's where the 360 version comes in place. And as promised, here is a case study where I'll share what we've done with Optimize for our website. So as every business, we had a goal to engage our customers and to increase the conversion rate on the website. But from the analytical point of view, we were trying to determine the best design and the best layout that will increase the number of micro conversions on the website, decrease the bounce rate so customers stay longer and get more engaged on the website, and optimize other relevant KPIs. The first thing that we were testing is the best shape, size, color, and call to action on the request a demo button. We've changed that using the visual editor. No developers required, simple setup. The KPI that we were using to evaluate it is the number of clicks on that particular button. The second version that we had was the adaptive version of the website. So we were taking into account the number of page views, session duration, bounce rate, and other micro conversions on the pages. We were showing the adaptive versions only to mobile and tablet users. And yeah, that worked out pretty well too. But that experiment actually was implemented through the redirect tests. So we did have to involve a developer. Here, the third experiment that we ran was testing the best layout for our product page. Here you can see the winning option. We were evaluating the bounce rate, clicks, time on page for this test, and it's also implemented through the redirect test. Sorry. To sum up our experiments, what were the results? First, like 100% of tests were on time. Nothing was delayed. It was on time because we had, like most of the changes were made by people who are involved in the decision-making process or testing process, and we didn't have to wait for coding. The second important result is that the 50% of tests didn't require any developer's time. That's actually why all of them were on time. And time needed to implement and run certain tests decreased from several days to several hours. That's pretty impressive, right? So that's for the results. And one more actually important result, that we actually determined the best option for each of the experiments. The pros and the cons of the optimize. So let's start from the advantages. First, its main advantage that it has integration with GA and Google Tag Manager. So you can easily use it for targeting and analysis. It has a large number of parameters available that you can use for personalization. It has very intuitive, simple interface with visual editor. There is a free version available that small businesses can use, and it almost doesn't influence the page load time. As for the cons, it can be used yet to test mobile apps, and you cannot schedule the test time. And so once you run it, you run it. Here is the link that we've promised to sign up for free version of Optimize. The lucky people who signed up early enough probably will get access this month or the following. And if you sign up, the access will be granted like in January or February. But still, take your time, go register and get access to this great tool. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'll be sending the follow-up shortly. So yeah, it was nice talking to you. Hope we helped you learn about this tool and get some ideas on how can you improve your website. Okay, turn it on.